So cybersecurity is going to remain at the forefront as we look at budgets going forward.
But I think we're in a really good position in these modern IT solutions.
I do believe cybersecurity will probably fare better than most sectors of the IT industry.
So with the potential upcoming recession and how it may impact the IT industry, we don't see a large impact across companies, especially as they're going through the middle of their digital transformation journeys. Most companies are still going through those journeys today. There may be a potential change in their prioritizations and where they focus their dollars and investment dollars as they go forward, but that'll definitely continue to be prioritized around cybersecurity.
If you look at our industry, IT industry in general, and maybe all industries, we've had about 12 years of a bull market, right? All we knew was growth. But the one thing you got to know is we just went through probably one of the most sudden downturns you've ever seen. And in that sudden downturn called the pandemic, we actually saw significant growth in those modern IT solutions. You saw cloud growth. You saw cybersecurity growth. Look, I think we're going to see definitely a pullback, but I think we're in a really good position in these modern IT solutions to continue to weather the storm and really be critical to the businesses and how they operate their businesses.
I do believe cybersecurity will probably fare better than most sectors of the IT industry. Why? In every single downturn, it's proven that hackers actually become more active and try to take advantage of companies going through economic strains, which in turn translate to strains on employees, particularly in a post-pandemic world where most of the workforce still has not returned to office. Hackers' primary attack surface are people, and during economic times, that population experiences more stress, which leads it to a more favorable time, ironically, to attack organizations than in peacetime, so to speak. That said, the spend should continue to favor cybersecurity over other IT segments should an economic recession be upon us.
With the potential recession and how it affects cybersecurity companies, definitely seeing an increased focus and prioritization around those attributes in cybersecurity when you talk about IT and their investments. There's increased focus on presidential orders, things like the NATO and cybersecurity focus with additional compliance regulations coming down. So cybersecurity is going to remain at the forefront as we look at budgets going forward. So we don't see a huge impact from a cybersecurity point of view, especially as attacks continue to increase as we're seeing today.
When you look at the modern solutions that are in IT today that enable businesses, so think of that as cloud infrastructure, all of the things that we've done over the past several years in these big growth markets to enable companies to operate more digitally, they're going to do pretty well during these downturns. And you're going to see cybersecurity as one of those most critical areas that enable a business to operate in a very distributed world overall. We learned through the pandemic that those modern IT solutions and that IT industry did actually really well. We had one of our biggest years ever in cybersecurity during the pandemic because it was critical to business. It was critical of how they operated.
And I would really encourage all executives, regardless of sector, to think through how to be defensive on the one hand by making sure that you're cutting expenses and managing cash flows appropriately, but balancing the capital allocation to also take advantage of some of the benefits that a downturn may have by allowing you to be aggressive on the partnering or M&A front. Valuations certainly have become compressed and has also presented an opportunity for acquisitions of teams or technologies that might have been, out of reach from a valuation perspective in a more frothy economic environment than it looks like is coming upon us. So I think it's a balance of offensive and defensive capital allocation would be prudent to get through the upcoming recession, regardless of how deep it is.
I think the first measure, you got to think about the threat mindset. The adversaries are not going to take a day off. They're not going to see a down market. They're actually going to view this as an opportunistic approach and come at us harder. So think threat visibility and immediate containment. The second measure is that, yes, there will be companies that are faced with cutting operating budgets, but think of kind of Newton's third law. For every action, there's a reaction. Think about the threats that you're going to be faced, where the vulnerabilities are, and how you're going to protect your business operating overall. And the third one, look, you're going to have to expect worst case. Are you prepared if you are attacked and have a breach? Do you have an IR plan? Have you continued the education and cyber awareness on your team so they're not clicking on those phishing events? You've got to make sure you stay prepared from the beginning of education all the way through incident response.